What's up, guys, and welcome to another edition of Market Marauders. Beating the market one trade at a time. If you're new to Market Marauders investment channel, helps you find best deals in the market. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you smash the subscribe button down below, like, comment, and share. Now, today, it's been a pretty interesting day as far as the market is concerned. As always, lots of moves were made, lots of things going on. So let's jump into it. So, first off, I want to talk about the earnings that came out. So, if you're not familiar, I got earnings on my page. On the community tab, you can check out the earnings and come and see what earnings I'm tracking and what plays are going on for this week. So come check that out in the community tab. Also, if you'd like to join Webull, which is the platform that I'll be talking about from today, you can sign up at the link down below, get 2 free stocks. I want you to deposit $100 into your account. So come and check that out. But without further ado, let's jump into some of these earnings. So for the earnings that I had for this week, on my community tab, we had NVAX for Novavax. We had INO for Inovio Pharmaceuticals. We had MAR for Marriott International. And then we also had Royal Caribbean Cruises. So pretty diverse group of stocks for today. So let's go into how they performed. So jumping into the first one, we got ticker sign NVAX for Novavax. If we can see, they kind of rallied up today. We're pretty bullish before the earnings came out. Volume definitely increased, jumped towards the early morning. If we look on here after lunch, it kind of jumped up a lot more. And then Syyy just continued to grow, continue its bullish pattern upwards. So going into its moving average 10. Moving average 10 is $178.05. Moving average 50 is $171.68. And the moving average 100 is $161.53. So ended the day at $178.51. So pretty high as far as the where it's up. Still, I would consider it bullish. It went down today after hours, $4.16. So a little bit below where it ended the day at, but still overall we'll consider it bullish because it is above all three of those metrics, the moving average. Both of those metrics, the moving average 10, moving average 50 and the moving average 100. So I would still consider it as a bullish play. So jumping into their earnings, we can see they announced their earnings today. So Novavax reports second quarter 2020 financial and operational results. So announced positive phase 1 data in phase 1-2 or 1 out of 2 clinical trial of the NVX CoV2373. Secured $2 billion in funding for global pandemic programming through CEIP, DoD, and OWS. So there are some pretty major organizations that have been funding this company, and $2 billion is not a small amount of money at all. So it says they expanded large-scale global manufacturing capacity through acquisition and partnering. It says the company to host conference call today at 4:30. So that's when they hosted their conference call and this update that they gave. So in regarding to their pandemic program, that's what I'm going to call it, announced phase 1 data from its phase 1 out of 2 randomized, observed, blinded, placebo-controlled clinical trial of NVX CoV2373 in healthy adults 18 to 59 years of age. Neutralization levels numerically superior to convalescent serum. Significantly higher immune response to 2 dose. Matrix M vaccine, strong T cells response, reassuring safe and tolerable vaccine profile. So they have you know, a pretty good vaccine on their hands. They got to do some more testing. Going to the part where they got their funding, secured $2 billion in funding, development, and commercialization of NVX-CoV-2373. So it's Coalition of Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. So that's what CEPI funding stands for, of $388 million. So that's part of the $2 billion they got. The United States Department of Defense funding of $60 million, and the U.S. government funding through Operation Warp Speed of $1.6 billion. So they've gotten quite a bit of government funding to have a vaccine out, which I think will give them an advantage to a lot of the other companies, especially considering that they got the money being put on Operation Warp Speed, which, if anybody's familiar with that, it's basically, they just had a group of companies that they deemed, had the best possible outcome for the vaccine, and they put them on Operation Warp Speed. So a lot of government funding coming to this company, which to me would yield, that they're going to have pretty good chance of success with whatever they come up with. So going into another one, we got ticker sign INO for Inovio. Their moving average 10 is $18.90. Moving average 50 is $20.19. And the moving average 100 is $20.23. So they ended the day at $18.99. But it looks like after hours they went down quite a bit to $17.70. So it went down, pretty far, after hours. Went down a whole $1.29, which you may say, oh, it's not that far. But they are quite a bit a ways from their moving average 50 and moving average 20. So it seems like they continue to fall. And if you see on the left-hand side right here, there was a large sell-off towards the end of the day. So jumping into some background information on them. This is their financial report. They reported today as well. So it says that their phase 1 clinical manuscript of full clinical data currently undergoing peer review for publication at a top medical journal. And it says, I know 4800 was generally safe and well tolerated in participants with only 6 treatment-related grade 1 lowest AE. 100% of trial participants demonstrated overall immune response. 95% had seroconverted by antibody response overall. Nearly 90% generated strong T cells response, including CD8 plus T response. Secured $71 million from the United States Department of Defense to scale up manufacturing of Celetra 3PSP smart device and procurement of Celetra 2000. So they basically have a device that helps to inject the vaccine whenever it comes out, and they basically expanded their research of the whole pandemic situation. So they have a lot of things going on for them. Also, a lot of government funding to this company as well, and definitely want to keep your eyes on in the future. So, overall, I think they still have a lot of positive things they have going on. I think they just need to give a little bit more updates as to their trials once they get done, and to see more updates from those. So going into the next one, we got ticker sign MAR, and that's for Marriott. What we've seen with Marriott, which is what we've seen with Royal Caribbean, is that these stocks that, have been posting, subpar earnings, meaning very terrible earnings, have just rallied like crazy. So, it's kind of a flip-flop market, as far as options are concerned. But going into them, we can see their moving average 10 is $96.84. Moving average 50 is $91.26. And the moving average 100 is $87.90. They ended the day at $97.13. And after hours, they went down 10 cents to end at $97.03. So, overall, okay metrics as far as that's concerned. I would definitely say they're bullish. You see right here, a lot of people bought, leading up to earnings, so it rallied up quite a bit on its way to earnings. But let's see how the earnings actually performed. So going into their earnings, says second quarter 2020 comparable system-wide constant dollar rev par declined 84.4% worldwide and 83.6% in North America and 86.7% outside of North America. Second quarter reported diluted loss per share totaled 0.72 compared to reported EPS of 0.69 in the year ago quarter. Second quarter adjusted diluted loss per share of 0.64 compared to second quarter 2019 diluted EPS of $1.56. Second quarter 2020 impaired charges and bad debt expense related to pandemic impacted an adjusted diluted loss per share of 19 cents and 17 cents. Second quarter reported net loss totaled to $234 million compared to reported net income of $232 million in a year ago quarter. So basically they're saying last year their total income was $232 million. And this quarter alone, they lost $234 million, meaning that they are negative $2 million from quarter to quarter. From year to year. So at their second quarter of 2019, they had a plus $232 million income. And this quarter, they had a negative $234 million, which means that they are negative $2 million comparing the two quarters side by side. Second quarter just totaled $210 million compared to second quarter 2019. Adjusted net income of $525 million. Second quarter 2020 impaired charges and bad debt expenses related to pandemic reported an adjusted net loss by $61 million after tax and $54 million after tax respectively. That's rough. The company added more than 11,400 rooms globally during the second quarter, including roughly 2,000 rooms converted from competitor brands and approximately 4,700 in international markets. Net rooms grew 4.1% from a year ago. Quarter ended Marriott's worldwide development pipeline totaled nearly 3,000 hotels and approximately 510,000 rooms, including roughly 28,000 rooms, but not yet subject to signed contracts. Over 230,000 rooms in pipeline were under construction as of the end of the second quarter. As of the end of the second quarter, the company's net liquidity totaled approximately $4.4 billion, resulting roughly $2.3 billion in cash equivalents and $2.9 billion of unused borrowing capacity under its revolving credit facilities, less $0.8 billion of commercial paper outstanding. So, despite all of these metrics, it still rallied. And it still rallied quite a bit. So, if we see from about the 4th, it has just rallied from about $83 to where it's at now, $97. So, it's got up about $14 before its earnings. It only went down 10 cents after earnings. So, I mean, it's just, it's a confusing market out there, and it's, one that is definitely a lot more difficult to read, especially if you're starting out. It seems to be, this year in 2020, everything's backwards. It's like the worst off a company is doing, the more money people put into it stock wise. And it's like the better a company is doing, the less money people put into it stock wise. People just sell off. It's very confusing to me, but that just seems to be the way that it's going. Going into our next one, we got ticker sign RCL for Royal Caribbean Cruises. Moving average 10 on them is $57.16. Moving average 50 is $52.14. Moving average 100, $50.44. And they ended the day at $57.31. And then it looks like after hours they went down 48 cents to end at $56.83. So another company that I have my eyes on, that performed basically the way I thought it would. I should have called Marriott the way that I called Royal Caribbean, but Royal Caribbean basically said a call on this one was the best option, which I was right on because, it's reverse earnings season. It's what we're going to call it, reverse earnings season. So basically, like I said before, the worst off the stock is financially, and the harder it's been hit, the more it will rally up and be bullish after earnings. So that seems to be the case. So let's jump into their earnings and see what's going on with them. So Royal Caribbean just posted their earnings today, just like the rest of those companies. It says the company reported U.S. GAAP net loss for second quarter of 2020 of $1.6 billion or 7.83 per share compared to U.S. GAAP net income of $472.8 million or 2.25 per share prior year. 2020 results include a non-cash asset impairment loss of $156.5 million, quite a bit of money. The company reported adjusted net loss of $1.3 billion or 6.13 per share second quarter of 2020 compared to adjusted net income of $532.7 million or 2.54 per share in prior year. The net loss for the quarter is a result of the impact of the pandemic situation, as what we know. Going to a business update, it says the pandemic is posing an unprecedented challenge to our industry and society. Our teams are working tirelessly to return to service soonest and doing so by developing new health and safety protocols to protect well-being of our guests, crew, and destinations we visit. And that's from the CEO. The CEO reported that. So he also said, in the meantime, we are using our time to refine our operations to be efficient as we can while providing a great experience to so many people are eagerly awaiting. So, they were hit pretty hard. It was kind of expected to see, them have a bad earnings, which is sad to say, because it's a pretty great company. A lot of people use Royal Caribbean Cruises, and they've been doing really well for the years past, or every summer. A lot of people take cruises. So not only were they hit by this pandemic situation, but they were kind of shut down during their highest, growth time. So it's almost like, closing a Hallmark store during all holidays and saying, okay, stay afloat, or, closing a toy store or Walmart or something like that during the holidays. It's kind of the time they make their most amount of money. So, it's kind of difficult for them. But people seem to, think it's the best time to invest into them, which is denoted by it rallying up like crazy. Like I said, it only went down 48 cents at the end of the day after it ended at 57.31. It ended at 56.83, which is not that far off. Same behavior happened with Marriott on this, crazy run up that it's on. So, for everybody who's out there, who's new to doing options or new to investing in general, this is the flip flops earnings. So if we look at INO's earning, INO had a good earning in my opinion, but still went down. And Novavax had a good earning in my opinion. They're still bullish, but if we see after hours, they went down $4.16. So, what do I say about the whole economy as a whole? I say still look at Syyy, because Syyy is continuing to grow. Still look at UUP, because UUP may be rising. If you're not familiar with Syyy is SPDR S&P 500 ETF trust, so it basically tracks the S&P 500. UUP tracks the dollar bill as being bullish, so it's called Investco DB US dollar bullish. And then look at gold. So GLD, shares, SPDR, gold shares. It actually was down today, but it went up, towards the end of the day, 39 cents. And look how that behaves. I think it's going to continue to, go back the opposite direction and be bullish instead of bearish. And also look at silver. Silver was still bullish today, very bullish, a lot more bullish than gold was because gold kind of fell off today. So look at gold, look at silver, look at the U.S. dollar, and look at Syyy, which is the S&P 500. But now I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to talk about a recap of what happened today with Chuck Shumer. I just go over some of his comments and things that he said. So today he had his little press conference. Trump has press conference after Chuck Shumer had his earlier today. So Chuck Shumer talked about Trump's executive orders. If you're not familiar with them, you can look them up online. Trump basically had 4 executive orders. One was to help the HHS and to help CDC. The other one was a $400 a month stimulus. A $400 a month unemployment, which will take place of the $600 unemployment. So it went down $200. The next one goes for, I can't remember the other one. But basically what Chuck Shumer said, I wrote down a couple things that he said. He said, one of the things that Trump was talking about was that the states are gonna have to pay 25% of that $400 for unemployment, and his major concern was that states may have already spent that money. So, as you know, during the pandemic, some states were hit a lot harder than other states. So, that definitely affects it. Give me 1 second. So that definitely affects the way that some of these companies, some of these unemployment is going to be paid out. But, that's kind of the way it goes, and that's just what he put in the executive order. So Chuck Schumer basically said, how are you expecting the states to pay when there is, money that's going out, and it's supposed to be for other things like first responders, for police and stuff, and it's not supposed to be the state's problem to, try to help people on unemployment. Another statement that he made is that the president wants to make money from the constituents to pay for the bill. And then one of the quotes that he said is, "You gotta hurt this person to help that person," which I don't believe that these executive orders, are doing that. I don't think it's hurting one person to hurt another one. Um, and he also talked about the payroll tax deferral being withheld by the end of the year. That was another thing that was part of the executive orders, was the payroll tax. And that's just basically, it's not new. Obama had it in 2011. So I don't know why it became such a big deal when Trump decided to do it, but it did, and it's very strange. And then another item they talked about is, him saying, basically, if we have the payroll tax deferral, that's going to lessen the amount of money that goes into actually doing the Social Security. So the Social Security is not going to be funded because you're going to have the money from the payroll tax deferral not coming in. So payroll tax is basically how Social Security is funded. So all the baby boomers and people who are about to retire, who live off Social Security, basically would not have that Social Security, or the people after them, which may be the millennials or whomever falls in that category after for retirement. There's basically going to be no money in Social Security to help those people, and that is because the payroll tax deferral. So it's basically like giving money now and not having money later. Also, one thing that he talked about is, if you're having a payroll tax deferral, then it's going to essentially raise taxes long term because someone's going to have to pay that money. So those are things that Chuck Shumer talked about. But overall, in my opinion, I think some of the things, were necessary and some of the things weren't necessary. But one thing that he did talk about is, you need to pass the HEROES Act and the CARES Act, and that should have been the way to do it. But, if we go to here, we can see that this is the HEROES Act, so Health, Economics, Recovery, Emergency Solutions Act. So HEROES provides FY 2020 Emergency Supplemental appropriations to federal agencies, provides payments and other assistance to state and local, tribal, and territorial governments, provides additional direct payments of up to $1,200 per individual, expands paid sick days, family and medical leave, unemployment compensation, nutrition and food assistance program, housing assistance, and payment to farmers. Modifies and expands Paycheck Protection Program, which provides loans and grants to small businesses and nonprofit organizations. Establishes a fund to award grants for employers to provide pandemic premium pay for essential workers. Expands several tax credits and deductions. Provides funding and establishes requirements for pandemic testing and contact tracing. Eliminates cost sharing for pandemic treatments. Extends and expands the memorandum on certain evictions and foreclosures, and requires employers to develop and implement infectious disease exposure control plans. So, also part of the bill that they're talking about is Medicare and Medicaid, health insurance, broadband service, medical product supplies, immigration, student loans, and financial aid, federal workforce, prison, veteran benefits, consumer protection requirements, U.S. Postal Service, federal elections, aviation and railroad workers, and pensions and retirement plans. So a lot of things are wrapped into this Heroes Act. Um, but I think what was passed was kind of like the nuts and bolts of this in the executive orders. But what does that mean for the actual economy as a whole? I still would say look at SPY, look at UUP, look at GLD, look at silver. Those are going to be the ones that are going to perform, in my personal opinion. Those are the ones that are going to have the most effect as a whole, or be affected as a whole from whatever stimulus comes. Now, with the new stimulus, there wasn't $1,200 approved. The $1,200 was only part of the HEROES Act, and what Trump passed was not the HEROES Act. So just bear that in mind. The $1,200 was not part of that. What he passed was payroll deduction, payroll tax deferral. So basically, if you're working, you're going to make more money. So it really only benefits those people who are working. And then there was no, extension for those people who, may be facing eviction. It basically just said, HHS and CDC need to work together to figure that out. So if HHS doesn't come up with a solution, then there really is no plan, in my opinion. That's what I took away from that, for people who are having evictions. So, hopefully Congress can get together with the president and come up with a better solution for the American people. Hopefully, there's a lot more that comes from this and a better plan overall. Some of the things that Schumer was also talking about was that there was, a new building. I think it was a new FBI building or upgrade for a new building that he was talking about. It was very selfish or whatever, but doesn't matter to me. All the things that are being put into here. But I encourage everybody to go out there and read these. Read the bills, all public information. You can read it for yourself. You can go to all the actions, titles, amendments, committees. You can read it all. I would just say, everybody out there, educate yourself on what's going on. There may be some, benefits to what's going on. You may be able to take some advantage of what's going on, especially, for everybody out there trading. Trump, to me, is very adamant about having a capital gains tax, for it to go down, which, if you're a trader, you pay capital gains tax, so that will directly affect you if you are trading. So that means if you're trading, you get, whether it's long term or short term. Let's say you're trading long term, you're just sitting around and collecting dividends from your long term investing. That means you would pay less money on capital gains tax for your dividends, which means if that was your sole source of income, you would essentially be paying less taxes than if you were working. Also, if you were, going and doing solely investing, and that was your main mode of income, you would essentially be making more money than someone who's working, a 9-to-5 job, because the capital gains tax is already lower than the working wage tax. So you'd essentially be making more money doing trading in the stock market than you would be, day trading. So that's just something to think about. Research some of these terms that are being thrown out there and how that impacts you. So, if now you want to start investing into the stock market, you want to learn more about it, you can watch channels like mine or other channels out there for investing. Since they're trying to pass capital gains, tax decreases, it will, definitely benefit you to learn more about how to trade, how to stock trade, how to trade penny stocks, how to do dividend stocks. I have a small mini course on my channel about dividend stocks, so if you want to learn about that, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. You just go on there. It's in one of my playlists. You just go look on there, and it basically explains what type of dividends there are out there, how you can make a portfolio, and how you can track that portfolio on M1 and on Track Your Dividends. So you can go start a dividend portfolio. In my personal opinion, I think a dividend portfolio is a little bit better than a 401k, just because you can take the money out. You don't really get penalized, and especially considering since capital gains tax is going down, definitely be more advantageous for you to have a portfolio of your own than to have 401k. Because you will get penalized for the 401k. I don't know how capital gains tax is going to be affected, by the 401k. But I do know if you had a portfolio on your own and you were to take that money out, you can change it, without penalty, and take it out whenever you need it. So there are advantages to both. Day trading, is very risky. Trading options is very risky. So I try to make my videos to talk about, what deals there are out there. Hopefully some people are getting some much needed benefit from that. I know for me, before I started the channel, I saw a lot of different, investment channels out there, but they were all trying to sell me like some course, or they were all trying to sell me, different information. There was always like a barrier of entry, which was like money to get the information. So, I try to get the information out for free. I'm not doing this for money. As you can see, there's not any ads on anything that I have, partially because I'm not monetized, but still it's free information. Some of the stuff, especially, like the dividend course that I have, could easily charge for that. But, try to get the information out to people, because I think people, the only difference between, in my opinion, between a rich person and, a poor person is information. So there's information out there that, I don't think race is a barrier to that. I don't think you can say, oh, well, this person came up in this specific race and they had all these disadvantages. Everyone has their struggles from every race. So I think, the only difference between that would be information. So the more you learn, I think the better off you can be. But, that's a debatable subject out there. Some people may say, people got different things against them. You don't know what's going on. I understand life happens to a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. But I definitely do believe that information changes situations, whether that be good or bad. But for me, I wanted to learn about financing or finances. So I learned about finances. I wanted to learn how to trade stocks so I can, subsidize my income and have passive income. And I learned about that, and now I have it. So, if you want to make passive income, I think dividends is the way to go. If you want to make, a little bit quicker money, trading options and penny stocks may be the way to go. But whichever one you choose, I would say do your due diligence, what I try to do with this channel is to point you all in the right direction. Try to help you all in figuring out what to look for. So like, going into this stock, you have ticker sign, NVAX, going and explaining, the earnings, what website I go to, you copy this website down, IR, which basically means investor relations, and they have all the information on here. It's all public information. I think some people, have facts misconstrued it, where they think, oh, the people who do investing, they have, this great, connection with, the people who make the stocks, or, some weird thing that's going on. But this is all public information. If you're trading, it's all public information. You just go on here and read it. So, if it makes sense to you, hopefully it'll help you. Hopefully these videos help you. I'll try to go live a little bit more often than not. But I hope, these videos are helping people out there. Drop a comment down below. Tell me what stocks you guys are looking at. Or, if you join into the chat, tell me what stocks you guys are looking at. And, good luck to you all trading out there. Hope everybody is able to lock in those profits. Make sure you check out the community tab for the rest of the plays for this week, for earnings week. I think it's earnings week number 3. Yeah, the third week of earnings week. We've gotten through all the major ones. We still have some more to go. I know tomorrow we have NEO, which is going to be a big one, and Cisco, and that's not CISCO, that's SYY. So I can pull those up real quick. So we have ticker sign NIO. which is going to have their earnings tomorrow. We got ticker sign SYY for Cisco. Now, make sure I add this one on here. Now, NEO is going to be a stock that, a lot of people are going to be looking at. And, I kind of look at them the same way that I look at the Royal Caribbeans and the Marriott. It's a Chinese-based company that makes cars, in China, solely based on China. Electric car company, which everyone knows is pretty niche. They're based in China, but we also know that Tesla is in China, which will make you think that, okay, Tesla is definitely going to outsell this company. But these stocks are not performing the way that you think they do. So basically, what happens is any positive news that comes out about this stock or any negative news, the stock just goes up. Just seems like just information in general about the stock, and the stock goes up. So these are not normal performing stocks. I would just give that warning out there. They definitely do not perform the way you would think they would perform, just like Royal Caribbean does not perform the way you think they would perform. Everyone's like, okay, they're almost bankrupt. They're losing billions of dollars, but people are like, oh, I'm going to buy more. Marriott, people are canceling hotels. They're losing money. It goes the opposite direction. So with that same mindset, I would say, look at NEO that way. Look from it from an objective point of view because they perform that way. People put money into these stocks and they just get pumped more and more with money on the slightest amount of news. So tomorrow, whether the numbers are fake or whether the numbers are real, it's going to come out that they made a certain amount of deliveries, they made a certain amount of money, and I definitely believe this stock's going to shoot up because of that. The same with Nikola. Nikola, has not produced a vehicle yet that I have seen, but they continue to go up in value. I would call it reverse earnings season just for that simple fact. Another one to look at is SYY. Now, this one actually is performing the way I thought it would perform because they're a good company. They actually have a dividend. They were doing a lot of good things. Food company. A lot of, grocery stores are definitely in demand for food. So this company is actually performing the way I think they will perform. So with all, the craziness aside, I would definitely look at SYY. They're definitely on a very bullish run. This is, leading up to earnings tomorrow. But, as we've said before, this is reverse earnings season. So don't be alarmed if this reverses the other way. Now, if you were able to catch it down here on the way leading up to earnings, then, you're able to cash in if you were doing options or if you were just doing it for a growth stock in general. But definitely keep your eyes on this one. Keep your eyes on these two for tomorrow. Another one that I have on here is SLGG. And this is for Super League Gaming. And then I have another one on the board for TTOO. And this is for T2 Biosystems. So we're going to look at, let me add this to the watch list. So we're going to look at those. So SLGG is actually a little bit bullish. They went up today. Went up 5 cents after hours. And, if we look at them right now, we can see that they ended the day at $3.06. So, it's not too bad. Went up, 5 cents after hours to $3.11. So that's pretty good. But this is a gaming streaming company. So they host different matches for I guess you'd call them minor league gaming groups. Of people who just basically play video games. If you have a small amateur league, they host the games basically, so they're not like the big mainstream ones, but they're still in the same gaming niche. Definitely a very interesting company in my opinion, and as more quarantines and stuff go on, I think the whole gaming market is just going to continue to boom. More people are going to continue to play video games. More teams are going to be made. So definitely one to keep your eyes out on. Definitely don't know why they're trading so low. I think just because a lot of people don't know what they are. But I think they have huge potential to go up even more, especially considering the niche that they're in. TTOO is a biopharmaceutical company. They make a lot of things. Don't know off the top of my head what they are, but they definitely have been performing, very bullish today, leading up to earnings tomorrow. So definitely want to keep your eyes out on. And I don't have these on here for options because, we're not going to options trade $1 or $2 stock. So, definitely want to look forward to, for tomorrow as earnings come out. And definitely, keep your eyes out on it because it definitely has potential to go up even more from here. So, that's just my picks for the week. Make sure you check out the community tab. Make sure you drop a comment down below what stocks you're looking at. I'll try to add them to my list. Go over and give you a synopsis of how I feel about them. And hopefully the analytics that I give helps out somebody in the comment section. All right, so good luck to you all trading out there, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.